There's far too many of you dying. You know we got to find a way.
You're listening to WCHS Wall Township Channel 63.
And we're back with CHS Cinema, the podcast devoted to all topics film, both new and old. Now this one is old and new. It's all film. We're going to be going through film through the decades, starting from the 40s to the 2010s, and we're going to go over our favorite films per decade and our favorite decades and all that kind of stuff.
The whole shebang.
Yeah, so anything... I mean, I guess I'll just quick over some recent movie stuff. Big movies that came out: Fantastic Beasts, Doctor Strange, Hacksaw Ridge. Did we see any of these? Yeah, Moana. Yeah. Anybody see any of these big movies?
Do we have a verdict on any of them?
I wanna, but I didn't.
I saw Hacksaw Ridge. It was great. I'm actually making a review of it for Inkblot. So yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
I know you have your review up on your YouTube channel too. Yeah. So Logan, what do you think of Fantastic Beasts?
It was pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty good. That's all.
Okay. Whoa. I think we can start our topic.
Starting with the 40s.
So film has existed for a while, and even though it really started in the early 1900s, the first true film with a plot.
Can I actually share something for a minute?
Well,
the first movie ever made?
Yeah.
Just to...
Trip on the Moon, right?
The predecessor for every single movie, made in 1895. I just looked up the name. It's called L'arrivée d'un train au gare de la Croix.
What is it?
I am probably butchering the pronunciation of. It's the one with the train. Where the people
are... the actual...
The Great Train Robbery.
Yeah.
It's alleged that the people who were watching the film went under their seats in shock and surprise because they thought that the train was going to hit them.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
I think, like, the first... I guess, like, the most famous, like, the first true movie was... Or movie with a plot was A Trip to the Moon. It was weird, but first film ever. But anyway, there's
first
silent...
sci-fi.
Yeah, there were silent films, but, like, I think I'm starting with the 40s because the 40s was when, like, film pretty much left the silent era. And some of the most notable films were Citizen Kane, my favorite film, Casablanca, It's a Beautiful Life, fantastic Christmas movie. I'd recommend all.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, It's a Wonderful Life.
Vaughn, how dare you!
My parents would kill you
Darn.
for that mistake.
Well, anybody, so anybody have any good experiences with 40s movies, or have you guys kind of all avoided them?
Well, I've seen Casablanca a couple of times. I usually don't go to 40s movies when I'm looking for just some good entertainment, but it's helpful, and I think a healthy exercise if you wanna become more knowledgeable in movies. Watching 40s movies is a very good way to do that.
Very influential decade.
It was very different back then too, because of course, if you had any kind of profanity in any kind of movie, it was completely taboo and it was kind of rejected by society.
Yeah,
I'd say by a lot of people. And now we look at these movies now, and we have
Deadpool.
Everything's said in these movies.
Sausage Party.
Everything's shown in these movies too.
Sausage Party was the worst movie I've ever seen. I just need to say that.
Anyway, let's not get too sidetracked.
Yeah,
I guess it seems that not everybody's huge on 40s movies.
Yes. Can I say a couple very, very influential 40s movies? There's Pinocchio, which was made in 1940.
Ooh, yeah,
Another 1940 movie is The Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, and there was Sullivan's Travels. I'm not sure if you guys know that, but that was a very influential movie. Then there's Fantasia, which was also made in 1940.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I did not know that.
I've only ever seen 3 movies from the 40s, and that is Citizen Kane, Fantasia, and Pinocchio.
I've seen more, but not a ton more. But I guess...
Wait, is Dumbo from the 40s?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. And there's also one more made in 1948, Key Largo, which is...
Oh, and on the Christmas season, I just watched Miracle on 34th Street from 1947.
Ah, nice.
Another great movie.
Wonderful.
Great Christmas movie. So I think we should, I guess it would be a good time to move on to the 50s. We'll be spending more time from 50s on. 50s was a huge year. It was a lot of Westerns came out then. We've got Hitchcock who made Strangers on a Train, Vertigo, North by Northwest, a ton more. Some famous foreign films were Seven Samurai, which inspired hugely inspirational action, or it inspired a lot of action films, and it is what inspired The Magnificent Seven. And then Rashomon. Have you guys heard of Rashomon?
I have heard of Rashomon.
It's a very complex film, but
That
it's
sounds
very
familiar,
well
but-
loved. So anybody have some 50s films they love?
I've got one. The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh yeah, a lot
Yes,
of
that was
sci-fi
a
there,
wonderful one. Yeah, it's iconic. It's an absolutely wonderful movie.
Yes. And in addition, the 50s was a enormous year for Disney because they came out with not only Cinderella, but they also came out with Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland. Three really classics.
And The Lion King.
Today.
Yes, of
40
Of course.
years off. Just saying.
I'm sorry to interject, but
it's
there was
fine.
also Singing in the Rain.
Oh yes, so many
Gene Kelly,
classics.
that wonderful scene that everyone knows with him with the umbrella.
Which he was dancing in with
I have two
Fever,
that I want to mention, and I really hope you don't mention them.
Yeah.
Because I want to say 'em.
Wait, so Logan, knowing that you're a huge Disney fan, what are your feelings on the 50s Disney movies?
Wait, which Disney movie?
We're talking Cinderella, and those era.
Sleeping Beauty, or was that 40s?
I think Sleeping Beauty was 50s around there.
Yeah, I think it was like 53.
Yeah, so I guess what are your feelings on those ones? The old ones.
I don't know.
You haven't seen them?
Yeah, I've seen them.
One thing I can say about them as an animator, or an aspiring animator rather, with the cell animation that they did, where they had transparent sheets on which they painted the characters and the settings and all the backdrops and all the items, one layer over the other. It's amazing the amount of skill and hard work and time that it took, and I have huge respect for those animators.
A lot of great.
As an animator, Dane, do you ever aspire to do stuff like that? In
No,
your free time?
there's no point in doing it when it's that much harder and it doesn't give you
Yeah.
as good results, in my opinion.
But still,
Although
that's
there
lot of
is
work.
a kind of magic to it.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. Like, there's stuff, animation-wise, that you see in these old 50s, 40s Disney movies especially, that you just don't see anymore today.
And then like the trippy
Yes.
imagery of Alice in Wonderland, and I just
Yeah.
it was very visually appealing film, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, actually, since we're not going to be covering 30s, I just want to say something about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out
Oh,
in
yeah.
1937.
That
and The Wizard of Oz.
That
Do not
is-
forget that.
And the
39.
Wizard of Oz.
That is before World War II. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out. That's insane.
Yeah, it is weird because like that kind of made movies just more popular. I think
Yeah.
like Snow White made 'em-
Color was introduced, live
Yeah.
action.
Yep.
Two of my favorite movies from the 50s. Sorry to like kind of interject, but
No.
two of my favorite movies from the 50s. I was talking with Vaughn about this one movie.
I love it.
12 Angry Men. I'm sorry, and which I love, and I know Vaughn loves.
I love
but
it.
probably my favorite would have to be Rear Window by Alfred
Ooh,
Hitchcock.
yeah, there's so many great Hitchcock classics. I've only seen Vertigo, but I could talk about 12 Angry Men, but you should. It's so good.
12 Angry Men. It basically takes place almost entirely in one room, and it has to do with 12 men who are on a jury who have to decide the fate of an 18-year-old boy who is accused of, was it murder?
It's murder, and if
Yes.
they say guilty, it's the death penalty. And this isn't spoiling much. This is like in the first 5 minutes. 11 rule guilty, and then 1 doesn't, and it's his journey, and he's trying to prove the boy innocent. And there's so many twists and turns, and every character is really fleshed out and has their own arc. It's really, really worth watching.
That is fascinating.
Sounds exciting.
Now, Kieran, if
Yes.
you had to choose between Hitchcock and Kubrick as an all-around director, who would you pick?
Ooh.
Because I know those are two of your absolute all-time favorites.
You know what? As a director, or like my personal favorite, like, because like my personal favorite would have to be Kubrick, because Kubrick is more influential on my taste as a filmmaker. But I think Alfred Hitchcock is more well-rounded, especially since he's made many more movies than Kubrick has. Although I will have to say that the few that Kubrick has made, thank you for changing the song from the Little Einstein's theme.
Yeah.
But the few movies that he has made are all good. Like, they're all well-rounded as movies themselves. While with Hitchcock, sometimes it's... I shouldn't say that they're not good. I'm just saying that, they might not be as,
More hit or miss.
I think
than
it's
Kubrick.
I think it's fair to say though that I think because Hitchcock has made so much, he probably has made the same amount of good films as Stanley Kubrick.
He comes out like what Kieran was saying. He comes out with something like Psycho, and then he comes out with The Birds.
Wait, The Birds
Wasn't that?
Okay.
I
I thought
The Birds got really good reception. I started watching it. I didn't finish it.
At the time, it was good for sure, but like
It's dated, but
it's dated.
extremely
Yeah.
dated.
but I mean, there's no way it couldn't have been dated. So I think that's anyway.
Okay, yeah.
But
you're right.
moving on, I think there's the 60s. The 60s.
Actually, before we can go over the 60s, should I do a PSA?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
quick
that's
PSA.
a good idea.
All
A
right.
little bit of an ad from our sponsors.
All
Except
right.
it's not.
Drinking and driving. I shouldn't have said it like that. Teen alcohol use kills 4,700 people each year. This number is more than all the deaths caused by illegal drugs combined. 1 in 10 teens in high school will drink and drive. Today, the leading cause of death for teens are car crashes. Roughly a quarter of these crashes involve an underage drinking driver. Not only does drinking and driving jeopardize lives, but it also affects the future of prospective teenagers. High school students who use alcohol or other substances are 5 times more likely to drop out of school, and kids who start drinking young are 7 times more likely to be in an alcohol-related crash. If you or a loved one suffers from a drinking problem, the MADD can be reached 24 hours at 877-MADD.help. Driving. Oh, that's the phone number. I'm sorry. 877-MADD-HELP. Driving under the influence is a crime. This message has been brought to you by the CDC and your friends at WCHS Wall Township. All right, let's go on with the 50s.
Okay, so we're moving on to the 60s. I don't know
I'm
why,
sorry, 60s.
but I forgot like a lot of the films that came out in the 60s. So I'll just go off the ones listed on Google. But
Sound of Music and West Side Story.
oh yes,
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh my
so we
God!
got
yes.
so we got for Psycho,
Yes.
2001, The Good, Bad, and Ugly, which actually got mediocre reception when it first came out, but now it's a classic.
It's a dark horse.
The Graduate, which is pretty dark. The horror movie Rosemary's Baby. Lawrence of Arabia, which is number 3 on AFI's top 100 films of all time.
Let's not forget West Side Story. Did you
Yes,
say that?
West Side
I
Story,
mentioned
Sound of
it.
Music.
Bonnie and
Okay.
Clyde.
The
Bonnie
beginning
and
of
Clyde,
Bond
yes.
films. There's so much from the 60s. I think I've seen more Bond films than Bond 60s films than actual 60s films, which is
And-
kind of sad.
And this is a very big one. Mary Poppins.
Oh yeah.
Great
And
year
The
for
Birds.
musicals.
Oh, and
Yeah,
the birds.
but the Birds.
I'm-
I enjoyed it for the 30 minutes I saw,
Okay.
but I was hoping it was gonna actually get a little scarier for the 30 minutes. So I didn't continue
But
watching.
just imagine watching that as a kid
Yeah.
in the 60s.
Like, geez, all those birds all killing people.
Like,
and
I'm convinced
it's
that
bad.
if
Yes.
a child in the 60s was to watch, say, this is a generic one, but Saw, they would probably pass out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Even though
for
like
sure.
the Saw movies,
I'm pretty sure an
aren't
adult
great.
in the 60s would pass out if they saw Saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyone really. But,
Well, Saw.
But-
It's not great.
but,
But
let's not forget Planet of the Apes.
So many.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
my God.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I love that. That like got. I don't know why that was actually one of my favorite movies of 2014. And the Planet of the Apes reboot series have just been. They've been fantastic. Or at
Yeah,
least
I really
Dawn
like
and
that series
got really
so
into
far.
them. And then the next one's coming out next year, and I guess I need to see the original, but I just haven't yet.
Rise of the Dawn of the Beginning of the Planet of
Yeah.
the everything.
Apes.
The movie, the game, the movie.
Yeah.
Now, I'd also like to include one of the great movies from the 60s, released on Christmas Day, To Kill a Mockingbird in 1960.
Oh man, I love that. I like it much more than the book. I thought the book was okay, but the movie was fantastic.
So it does not follow with the tradition of the book being better than the movie.
I believe
Case
the
in point,
book had.
Maze Runner.
I believe the book had too much filler. It was kind of got pretty boring for me. But I think the best part of the book was the court stuff, and the movie revolves around the court stuff. From the first 15 minutes, you're introduced to the conflict, while you're not introduced to it a third of the way through the book. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's classic.
That's one of the benefits, I think, of movie adaptations.
They're not
Yeah.
almost never
Yeah.
as much filler. And
Obviously, my favorite movie from the 60s is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
not surprised.
I absolutely
Yes.
love it.
So then we go to the 70s, and there is a plethora of movies. For
Jaws,
horror, we
Plethora.
had there are so many films. For horror, we had Alien, The Exorcist, Halloween, and so many more. For comedies, we had Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh my God, I
yeah.
forgot about one movie from the 60s. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
Backtracking a little bit.
Doctor Strangelove.
I was gonna say that
Oh,
too.
I gotta see that.
Yeah.
He's
it's
iconic.
the entire thing's uploaded on YouTube free if you want to check it out.
Whoa.
Are
you encouraging
Let's not.
unfair?
I'm not encouraging piracy. I'm just saying if you don't
It's
have
technically
money.
not piracy,
Oh
but
my
it's a little sketchy.
Yes.
A little bit.
Then there's just so many classics.
Oh.
There's
I'm sorry.
just one last thing. And then for blockbusters, this was the birth of the blockbuster. We had movies like Jaws that was the birth of the blockbuster, and then you got none of the other Star Wars,
yes.
the Spielberg
Yes.
classic, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and that's when these widespread appeal movies started. And I think the 70s was the beginning of like the modern era of film.
Yes, of course.
And we. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. We keep
had
cutting you off, Dana. Sorry.
Martin Scorsese with young Robert De Niro's role, Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Yes, Taxi
You talking to
Driver.
me? That line was actually improvised.
Yes.
You talking
Oh,
to
is that
me?
the one? No, never mind. But anyways, looking at these 70s movies from 1971, we have Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Oh
Factory.
yeah,
Yes!
Wait.
From
I
the late
forgot
great
about that.
Gene Wilder.
Also,
Rest
just
in
saying,
peace.
there's this really obscure 2 films that came out. They're called The Godfather Part 1 and 2. Not many people know about them, but apparently they're fantastic, you know?
I think I've heard of them.
I don't watch them every Thanksgiving.
Yeah, neither do I. Nobody does.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, how's
I've
everyone's
never
Thanksgiving?
seen them.
Oh, it was
actually.
wonderful. How was
Wonderful.
your
Good.
Thanksgiving, listener?
Mine was great.
That's nice.
Yours
That's
was
nice.
great as well, I hope.
Oh yeah. Thanksgiving was
Anyway,
good.
back to, movies.
Yes, movies are
Um,
more important.
There was so many classics. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson. There was
Chinatown.
Yeah,
Is
also
ev-
with Jack
Is
Nicholson.
everyone forgetting the greatest movie of all time that came out in the 60s?
What?
I mean 70s?
Yes.
What? Apocalypse Now.
Oh yes,
yes.
That's the thing with the 70s. Whenever I'm talking about 70s movies, I always like, oh my god, there's this film, and then there's this film, and I'm like, oh wait, Mad Max came out in 1979. There's so many.
Are you guys forgetting
70s
Rocky?
classics. Yeah, like Rocky. Like that's the thing. There's-
Exactly,
You
yes.
go from movie to movie, and like that's so amazing. Oh, that one's so amazing too. Yeah.
Saturday
A lot
Night
of classics.
Fever. Grease.
Oh
Young
yeah.
Frankenstein. Also.
Yeah,
Gene
Young
Wilder.
Frankenstein, and Blazing Saddles was the birth of the parody.
Superman?
Fantastic. Superman.
Look,
Superman.
The
Yes.
70s
Yeah.
is just so chock full of
Yeah.
wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful
And how could we
movies.
forget A Clockwork Orange and The Exorcist?
Oh my God, A Clockwork
There's
Orange.
so much. It's insane. Like the 70s is like the
Monty
it's-
Python and the Holy Grail.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was-
God.
Comedies,
yes.
it was fantastic.
Halloween.
Horrors.
Eraserhead.
it was great. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Alien.
So much. Yeah, Alien
Mad.
was a horror.
Discussed Alien.
Although there is one year that's not in the 70s that I think can top the 70s, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I guess what we should move on to the 1980s. Now this is where we really got into the.
This is where it really blossomed.
This is where film blossomed and got more popular, and you got more blockbusters really started to take over then. That's when you got Back to the Future was huge.
Yes. Bueller's
we
Day
had
Off.
The
we
Breakfast
had the
Club.
The Terminator.
Indiana Jones.
So
yeah, Indiana
many.
Jones. We had the 80s action movie was born, that kind of cheesy
Yes.
style.
Caddyshack.
With all the
E.T.
posters looked the same.
Yeah. And with like the
They were all
like
hand
the, I'm a buff guy and I gotta get the girl and blow
Yes.
stuff up.
And
That's starting in the 80s.
May I point out, many people do not know this man's name, Drew Struzan. He's
No.
a man who has made so many movie posters. He's made the Star Wars movie posters.
Wow.
I believe he made the Goonies
Also,
movie posters. Pretty much
second
any,
two Star Wars movies
Any
came out
poster
in
you've seen in that style with the hand painted was likely made by Drew Struzan.
Also,
Wow.
there's a movie that Dane hates called The Shining. Came out in
Oh
1980.
yeah, absolutely.
That is my favorite 80s movie.
You guys know.
Poltergeist.
yeah.
Scarface.
16
Scarface.
Candles.
Scarface.
Die
Yeah.
Hard.
Oh,
Anyone?
Let's not forget Footloose.
Speaking of comedies, if I don't know if you guys have seen it, it's called Heathers.
Oh, no.
Have you seen it?
I
It's
don't-
on
I haven't.
Netflix. It's really good. It's really funny. It has to do with it's a dark comedy.
When was it made?
Oh yeah.
88.
I've heard of the premise.
Nice.
It's
You looked it up,
interesting.
didn't you?
No.
Oh.
A friend
Oh,
told me
okay.
about it.
No, I was just wondering.
It's about basically this teen girl. There are these 3 girls. They're all named Heather. It has nothing to do with the plot at all. They're just all named Heather.
They're
Oh,
just all
okay.
named
And then
Heather.
and then
Hence.
like
Heathers.
and then like one of them really hates the other one, so then they like get in a fight, and one of them accidentally kills the other one.
Oh, of course,
and
when
then
you
she
kill
like
your...
writes a fake suicide note to make it look
Yeah.
like she killed herself.
Happens every time. Like one of
And
us
then-
might just shoot another.
Oh yeah,
Like
just
that.
accidentally.
Happens every day here on the radio.
Let's say I shot Logan.
Wait, what?
Yes, of course.
I'm kidding.
Boy.
Okay.
Uh,
No murder. This is a family.
Let's get into some more
Yeah.
movies.
You know
shall
what?
we?
You know what? Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, Logan, I guess I think you should talk about this one decade because it's the '90s, and I think you should talk
wait,
about all
we're going on
the
to the
no,
90s
let's-
now?
Hold on.
Please
There's
continue.
more to
Keep
talk
on.
about.
That's
Wait,
true.
why
We
should I talk
we
about
have the
90s?
classic
What?
high school movie was born, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
you're right.
Don't you guys remember that? I mean,
Yeah.
Or
Top Gun.
Breakfast Club.
Blade Runner,
Blade Runner, I
Poltergeist,
love it.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Princess Bride, The Empire Strikes Back. We have so many
So
wonderful
much.
movies from the
Yeah.
80s.
Yep.
Full
They're
Metal
all so
Jacket.
iconic.
Ghostbusters.
These are the movies that everyone always talks about.
These are the most like, the '80s movies was the birth of like. I guess the other thing is the people. Our generation, or at least our parents,
They
lived through the
grew up with
1980s,
this.
and they grew up. That was when they were in their teen years, and that's when they watched all these movies. Now, 80s nostalgia was huge. I mean, not only with like video games, but also with like Stranger Things, and 80s is huge, and 80s is the nostalgic decade. I think that's fair to say.
I'd definitely say it is.
And
that is in part because so many people, like the baby boomer generations and the millennials, they grew up with movies like that, so they're able to talk about those. So those are really the movies that we get introduced to from our parents.
You know, I agree with that, but me personally, my mom didn't grow up in the 80s. She grew up in the 90s, which is why I love 90s so much. But like one more
Alright.
80s movie. Never mind. I
Okay.
changed
Well,
my
let's
mind.
move on.
Come on.
Logan, now you should talk about all the 90s because I know one genre in the 90s got huge.
Yeah, Toy Story, Aladdin, were all 90s.
Animation. I mean,
yeah.
that was the Disney Renaissance and the
Yeah.
birth of Pixar.
Lion King.
I'm sorry, Logan, is it okay if I just say one thing?
Sure.
We have one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, Pulp Fiction.
I've never
Oh my
seen
God.
that. My parents keep trying to
Kieran's
make me
marking out
watch
right
it.
now.
I'm sorry, that's my favorite movie of all
Pulp
time.
Fiction is, it's a masterpiece. It really
and
is.
and like before I talk about Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs as well is.
Oh,
is
Reservoir
amazing.
Dogs is
Birth of
also one of my favorite
Tarantino,
movies.
Pixar, rebirth of Disney, a lot in the 90s.
Yes.
Jurassic Park and the
Yes,
Matrix.
Jurassic
Yes.
Park.
Yes.
Schindler's List.
Titanic,
One of my
Yes.
favorites.
Forrest Gump,
Dances
Yes.
with Wolves.
Clerks.
Silence of the Lambs.
Oh,
What-
yeah,
what
Clerks,
was one of
yeah.
your favorite friends?
Braveheart.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
so much.
Goodfellas,
Goodfellas.
Schindler's List,
It's really
A
funny.
Heart-wrencher,
12
I have-
Monkeys.
Oh yeah,
Big
I've
Lebowski Man.
oh that one. I have Goodfellas recorded on my DVR. And I want to watch it, but it's a TV version, so it's gonna be censored. And it's like,
Oh, I
it's a
actually
bummer.
have it on DVD. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to.
Yeah.
Wait, best 90 movies? Space Jam.
Oh,
Space
of course
Jam.
You know it.
Okay.
Definitely.
Amazing.
You know it, Doc. Then, this is a wonderful movie that I saw over the weekend, The Shawshank Redemption. Not the first
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I
Saw
forgot about that one.
Shawshank.
We have the
Okay.
Shawshank.
Good old Shawshank.
And, the introduction, the precedent for all movies like it, all horror movies like it afterwards, the Blair Witch Project.
And obviously, the without a doubt greatest sci-fi film made in all time, Phantom Menace. You know,
Yes.
undeniable classic.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think
The most
that
hyped
is...
Definitely.
sale of all time.
Definitely.
Ha! In the words of Yoda, the sarcasm is strong with this one.
I think that a large portion of this show so far has just been us saying movies and
Yeah,
Kieran
we're just
saying,
naming movies. We gotta-
in response.
Yeah,
that is
True.
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 Yeah.
Oh, we have
So
Good Will
wait, so we're just
Hunting.
going over the movies.
Well, I wanna
first,
get
and
into,
then
like-
later we're gonna each say our favorite movies from each decade.
And also our favorite decade, which is also.
Okay.
okay.
So
Okay,
let's move on
short.
to the 2000s and the 2010s because I want to move on to the favorite stuff because that seems really cool.
All right, I got a couple for 2000s.
Dark Knight.
All right, so
Dark
I
Knight.
got two from the Coen brothers that I love. No Country for Old Men and Brother Where Art Thou? I
Yeah.
love
Okay,
those
yes.
two. They're amazing. And also all of Harry Potter.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
That
Well,
was
Well,
Yes.
except for
Okay.
Philosopher's Stone or
What?
Sorcerer's Stone. That was made in
well,
the
no.
90s.
That was the book was written in the 90s,
Oh,
but
the
the
book-
actual
yeah, but
movie
the actual
came out in
movie-
2001.
I thought it was late
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah, no, it was
Actually-
2001.
Actually, Sorcerer's Stone was the first movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Oh, really?
First
I,
one.
I saw it as like a
Wow.
baby. My mom dragged me with her when my sister saw it.
That's really
nice.
cool.
One of the
That's-
first
you know what's the
movies.
first
cool
movie?
first movie to have
You
seen.
know what's the first movie I've ever seen, actually?
What?
This is kind of
What?
off topic. It was also made in the 2000s. Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Of all the movies,
Wow.
I
And
feel
I
bad.
actually loved it.
Can we stay away from that dark realm?
Let's
All
not.
right, all right.
The
Let's go back to
2000s,
Harry Potter.
the early
Or no, just
2000s was. There were a lot of bad movies released in the early 2000s.
except for Monsters Inc.
That's true.
Oh,
Also,
so many
Pixar,
wonderful
Nemo.
Pixar movies.
Finding Nemo.
Spider-Man.
Incredibles. There's so much. The birth of the. Well, there was the dark age of superhero movies, which kind of went on until 2008, where both the dark DC and the happy Marvel were introduced with Iron Man and the Dark Knight, and then now superhero movies are insane.
Except for X-Men.
yeah.
course, yeah.
Yes.
True. X-Men was also really good, but there were a lot of like Daredevil and a ton of other really bad
Yes.
early 2000s superhero
Ben
movies.
Affleck.
A good early
Yeah.
2000 movie it's a anime, Spirited Away.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
I
Spirited
forgot
Away,
about
I have it on DVD. It's that movie I hate myself because I have it on DVD and I haven't seen it, and I got it last Christmas. Like, I don't know why I haven't seen it. I feel so
Now, here's
impure.
a movie. Yeah, we all feel impure. Trust me.
It's actually been years since
No,
I've seen
I'm only
Spirited
joking.
Away. I honestly don't
But
remember
it's
much
one of those
about
things
it.
that kind of holds nostalgic value to you, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Anyways.
a movie that received mixed reviews for me was Avatar.
Oh, yeah.
Not
I-
Avatar:
I'm
The
not
Last
a fan.
Yeah,
Airbender.
Avatar like the
I
aliens.
actually I liked it.
Wait,
Camera classic.
wait. You're talking the M. Night Shyamalan one?
What? No.
No,
Avatar.
Oh,
James
no, that's
Cameron.
2010.
Avatar, but aliens.
Yeah.
That's 2010.
Well, no, we're kind of going 2010s and 2000s.
Oh, are we?
Okay.
I
Yeah,
thought we were
yeah.
gonna say. Okay,
I'm
so
going-
Let's
doing that.
let's
Well,
let's try to make at least a divider between the two, just a little bit.
yeah,
yeah.
'cause,
You know.
for 2010s, I'd probably say either Captain Phillips, Boyhood, or Interstellar.
We got Guillermo del Toro made Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh yes.
And then Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu pretty much got huge in the 2010s with The Revenant and
Birdman.
Birdman. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll move on kind of to 2010s.
I guess so. Yep.
That was where superhero movies.
The
got
MCU.
huge.
This
Yep.
is where Christopher Nolan
Avengers,
really got
Captain
more
America.
Of
Yeah.
a hold, with movies like Inception.
Inception.
Yes.
Nolan was essentially solidified as one of this decade's
He's gonna be one of the great directors of our
greatest
time.
directors.
Yeah.
At least for our time period so far.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't really put out a very bad mainstream movie, of course, although
Yeah.
Interstellar could be argued for.
It's mixed reviews, but it's not like, even though people dislike it, like, there's enough good elements that it's not going to be remembered as like one of those awful movies, because it at least had good visuals.
It just hurt my mind when I saw it in the
yeah.
theater, man.
And then I don't know. I think I do feel that movies have taken a step down in terms of blockbuster mainstream movies, just because there's a lot of. I know it's been said all the time, but there's just much less originality. I mean, it's a fact.
yeah, like imagine traveling back to the 80s and being able to see Beetlejuice and all the Star Wars movies
And,
back in their prime.
A
Yeah.
90s movie, Jurassic Park, I think sums up the opinions or had the views of all movie studios. They always think about whether they could make a sequel or a remake, but they never actually think if they should do it.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
They think
Yeah.
that they should do it because they'd be getting more money.
Yeah,
And with
that's true.
with many of the
Movies
Hollywood
are a
sequels
business, not
nowadays,
just an
yeah,
art.
it's more about money than it is enchanting the audience.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I
So-
think it's a shame.
How about I
Yeah,
read
we'll do
another
a PSA, and then we'll move on
and
to
then-
favorite movies per decade.
Yeah,
and then
Beautiful.
favorite decade.
Let's do
All
that.
right.
That's
Let's
a
go.
wonderful idea.
So I'm gonna flip to a random one.
Okay, we're going.
Ooh, bullying.
Let's go.
Bullying is a serious matter and is capable of causing physical and emotional damage to many teenagers across the country. According to the Indicators of School Crime and Safety, a 2013 report filed by the Bureau of Justice showed that about 28% of students aged 12 through 18 reported being bullied in school. It also showed that 70% of teens have witnessed bullying occur in their schools. Kids who are bullied are more likely to experience depression and anxiety. changes in eating and sleep patterns, and loss of interest in hobbies they previously enjoyed. Bullying can come in many different forms, including, but not limited to, physical, verbal, and cyberbullying. No matter the case, all bullying is still a punishable offense and can result in detentions or other punitive actions as stated in the New Jersey Anti-Bullying Bill. This message is brought to you by your friends at WCHS Wall Township.
Now, that was kind of sad, so I could move on to something. Let's play. Wait a second. Anyway,
He's trying to play Never
Yeah.
Gonna Give... there we go.
this is better. This is less sad. I think that's fair.
And now to introduce you, favorite movies from each decade.
Okay, let's start, because
All
let's quit do 40s. Me, Citizen Kane, because I haven't seen a lot of 40s movies, but also my favorite movie of all time.
Me, Citizen Kane by default, because I don't remember anything else. All right, Dane.
Mine is also Citizen Kane.
Wait, you guys haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life?
I've
Nope.
seen Pinocchio
My
and
parents-
I haven't
Anastasia,
seen
but
the
I don't
entire
remember.
I've only seen Pinocchio. That's all I've seen.
So I guess favorite by default.
Yep.
Okay, so now actually let's get into
All right, what about Ryan?
Wait.
Wait, what?
Me, probably It's a Wonderful Life.
yeah.
It's very nice.
I love that one.
It was very heartwarming too.
Should we explain ourselves? Okay, that was quick, but
Yeah,
are we going to
what's-
explain ourselves in the future?
The 50s we're gonna get more in depth.
Okay.
So the 50s, I'm probably gonna do. I'm going 12 Angry Men. I just saw it a few weeks ago. It's fantastic. I've already talked about why I loved it, so I'll move on.
I'm going to go with Rear Window. Like, I've only ever seen it once, and there are a lot of details that I, don't catch yet, but still, I just know that...
Sorry.
I know that
Please,
there's
let's
something. I know that there are a lot of details that I don't know yet, or that I haven't noticed. But the ones that I have still interest me a lot. And I know that even though the plot's kind of predictable or basic, I still love it just because of the way that Alfred Hitchcock directs his actors. I just love the way that he does it, especially in Rear Window. All right.
So, Logan, your favorite 50s movie?
I haven't really seen many.
Alice in
50s
Wonderland?
movies. I don't really. The Disney movies from the 50s
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess you
really.
haven't seen them. Oh, you're not a big fan? That's fair. So I guess Ryan and Dane.
Dane, you want to go first, bud?
All right. My favorite movie from the 50s has a sci-fi movie. It's really one of the first of its time, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, no offense, but if you're gonna say the Birds is dated, I mean,
I
saying.
understand, but the Creature from the Black Lagoon, I don't know. There's just something about it. It gives me more. The Birds, it doesn't give you as much of a sense of nostalgia as it does. Wow, the effects are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you overuse effects from your time, it ends to look extremely dated. But in Creature from the Black Lagoon, they used a lot of practical effects and they used them well. Which is why.
Yeah.
And effects is one of the things in movies and just all of life especially that can get dated so quickly. Because even now, as a video game player, which I'm sure a lot of us have or do play video games.
Yep.
We look at these games from not even as long as 5 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
they look dated.
Like one of my favorite games of all time was Skyrim from the Elder Scrolls series. So I remember at the time when I was playing that, the graphics just seemed so ahead of its time. It looked like I was really there in the world. And now I go back and I play it every once in a while just to kind of get that nostalgia going with how I do with watching old movies and stuff. But it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, it looks so
dated.
Even the remaster that was made this year looks kind of dated. But
Yeah,
anyway, that's a little more video gamey.
Same thing goes with movies.
Also,
That's
just
what
saying,
I'm trying to make.
I know the Birds has been a big topic, but 96% of Rotten Tomatoes. So I guess it's a perfect example of effects deciding whether a film was well remembered or not. Anyway, I think 60s. Obviously, Kieran, we all know yours.
I'm going to go with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
And I as well. But would you like to explain why, and then I'll explain why?
Well, first of all, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's aged well.
Yeah, and second of all, just I know a lot of people think it's boring because of how silent it is a lot of the time, but that's the good thing about it. It makes you feel like you're actually in space in this situation where you're alone with no one else, and that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it's
I think-
immersive.
Yeah, it's very impressive, that's for sure. I think for me, it's in part because I picked up on 2001: A Space Odyssey was one of the first movies where I really picked up on a lot of the cinematography techniques used, like all of the rule of thirds, and then there's where if something's going from left to right, it shows the passage of time, things like that. Now, that's really where I started to pick up, and that's something where I think it bears a lot of fruit if you look at it in terms of just the genius that went into the making of it and all of the cinematography.
So, Ryan?
All right, I'm going to stick with the Disney movies on this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to choose either between the animated Jungle Book or the live action, as I mentioned before, Mary Poppins. Was that Disney?
Yes,
That
Mary
was
Poppins
Disney.
is Disney.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
For me, it's interesting. I haven't seen this in a while, but I really enjoyed it when I first saw it. Now, I would have probably chosen West Side Story if I saw it the full way through, because from the little I saw, I really enjoyed it. But have any of you guys heard of It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World?
I
Yeah.
have
No.
heard of it, and I
Nope.
want to see it.
I just barely have seen any 60s movie, but it's just a really funny movie about a group of people all trying to find a large amount of cash, and it's just a really funny movie. It's a good time. I mean, like, it's not like don't look out for it. There's so many other good movies, but if you can find it, I definitely recommend seeing it.
Actually, hold on. When was the producers made?
Oh my god, I wish I saw
It
it.
was
It
67.
was the 60s.
Never mind. Producers' favorite movie from the 60s.
Yeah.
I've never
Alright.
heard of it.
Oh my god. Mel Brooks. And it had Gene Wilder too, so we gotta pay respect to him.
So
Yeah,
what about
good
you,
old
Logan?
Gene.
Probably Mary Poppins, just from because I've only seen like 5 60s movies. I
Dick Van
think.
Dyke did a wonderful job as Bert. And he is still alive today.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I think 70s movies will go to. Now, for me, it is The Godfather, because that is my second favorite movie of all time. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
all
I've
right.
talked about it enough.
Yes, we have.
So,
For-
anybody
me,
else?
For me, it's probably Apocalypse Now.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, because like
just maybe.
Like I know I keep saying Apocalypse Now, but I was actually debating in my head whether or not it was Apocalypse Now or A Clockwork Orange. But I decided
Really?
to go with Apocalypse Now because I just love that movie so much.
Okay.
So,
Very good.
I think mine is Star Wars 4: New Hope.
yeah.
Because they launched the Star Wars universe was only existed in comic books prior to that, and with the movie, it opened it up to this huge audience.
Wait, there were Star Wars comics
Yeah,
before
wait,
the
what?
Yeah,
movie?
there
I thought
actually
the
were
movies
Star
were the
Wars
original
books.
things.
Yeah,
That is not true.
Wow.
I did not know that.
yeah.
So I guess,
Little fun fact that not many people know.
yeah, Ryan?
Me, Dane took the words right out of my mouth, man.
I'm
'Cause,
Yeah, same. Star Wars.
Like, I know there are movies that might even technically be considered better by other people in terms of plot, characters, yada, yada, yada. But Star Wars does also have a very nostalgic appeal to me, as with a lot of other things, which we've said. But Star Wars, one of the first movies I've ever seen. I'm sure I've said that before, but for that reason, it is my favorite movie from the 70s.
Same.
Hey.
I'm with Ryan.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so we got
Uh,
the Star Wars crew over here.
Yeah, there's the 80s. So Dane, obviously we know yours.
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, come on. It's Garbage Kids.
Yeah, Garbage Pail.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I mean,
Oh, man.
really.
That is a fantastic.
Wait, but Dane, just
No,
saying,
yes,
like,
mine is The Shining.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was just making
obviously.
Oh wait, we're talking about 80s now.
Yeah,
we're,
yeah.
we're going.
Yes.
with
Okay.
80s.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go with The Shining as well.
Oh, okay.
Wait, did you say what yours was, Vaughn?
No, he
from
didn't.
the 80s now.
Vaughn, what's your
Oh,
favorite?
okay.
You know what? This is weird, but I'm gonna quick look up the '80s movies because I just forgot a lot of them. So you guys talk
Okay.
about yours. And
All
I'll
right.
think of mine.
So, I have a few to choose from. First of all, Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, that
I
was
think
good. That
Michael
was
J.
good.
Fox's best work that he's ever been in. Regardless of his TV shows, it is his best work. And Christopher Lloyd, he was fantastic as the Doc. He pretty much played himself. And they had that reunion last year on Jimmy Kimmel, I believe. And although they are very different nowadays, and, you know, they're pretty old. Michael J. Fox sadly has Parkinson's.
So
But
yeah,
Michael
they're
J.
still
Fox has
fantastic.
Parkinson's?
yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh my god.
So Vaughn, what's yours?
So I don't really have a definite one, but there are a few that I love. Empire Strikes Back, my favorite Star Wars movie.
Love
it.
It was George Lucas's least favorite at the time.
Yeah, well, George Lucas made the prequels, so let's not count his opinion.
And he made those
Yes.
special editions,
True.
CGI everywhere.
True.
So, there's also Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I heavily enjoyed. There was
Dirty
Did
Dancing.
we completely forget about the Terminator?
Terminator.
That was the other one I was going
Terminator
to say.
I enjoyed, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite, though I really enjoyed it. There was. I never finished Back to the Future. I don't know why. I guess Aliens. Has anyone seen that?
No.
No.
Great sequel.
And one more. I wanted to slip this in a little bit,
Oh.
but I didn't get the chance
Wait,
previously.
Did we mention Princess Bride?
I also
Yes,
wanted to
we
mention
did.
that. That is a fantastic movie, too. It's
All right.
got obviously Andre the
Should we
Giant.
move on to the
90s?
yeah,
90s?
let's move
go
on to the
90s.
90s.
All right, obviously my favorite is Pulp Fiction.
And so is mine.
Quentin
Yes.
Tarantino.
The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait, but with all those Disney films, The Matrix.
Yes.
Wow.
I just like The Matrix for some reason.
Keanu
it's
Reeves.
And I'm gonna go with.
Bill.
Obviously, we know
I don't.
Pulp Fiction directed by
Fargo.
Martin Scorsese.
Fargo's my favorite. Coen Brothers. It was
Oh, okay.
amazing. I loved it. I don't know. I guess we're gonna kind of speed things up a little bit. So we're gonna go 2000s and 2010s to make it hard.
Okay.
I'm gonna
I
separate
actually
them
have
for me.
3
Yeah, we
for
could
this.
separate them too.
Oh, okay.
That's fair. So
All right, so I'll do my 2000s. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Obviously,
that's your favorite, I guess.
That's my favorite 2000s movie, early 2000s movie. I mean, I know there are a lot of good ones, but I think the first Harry Potter movie really just more represents a part of my life rather than the actual movie itself. It's just
sorry.
it connects to me on a spiritual level.
My favorite movie from the 2000s is a Harry Potter movie as well, but rather than The Philosopher's Stone, my favorite is Prisoner of Azkaban.
Same.
Same.
But
That's
it's
my
not my
favorite.
favorite too.
That's my
that's not
favorite
my
Harry
favorite.
Potter.
That's my
2000s
favorite
movie.
2000s movie.
Gary
though.
Oldman.
Yeah,
was
That's my
Black
favorite
Panther.
Harry Potter
got-
movie.
And the
I
reason
think he
is
was, yes. Okay.
the Harry Potter movies are kind of separated into like two halves. The first half is the Chris Columbus like kid one, and then the second half is like the darker one, David Yale.
Yeah.
But Prisoner of Azkaban is the middle one that
Yes,
not directed by either
so
of those.
great.
It's actually directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who directed Gravity.
And Children of
Yes.
Men.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell that there's a different style to it, and I think that's
Great
what I love about it because it kind of mixes the child and the dark.
There's 3
Yeah.
for
Good
me.
transition.
There's Up. Loved it so much.
Yes.
There is. Oh, by the way, Toy Story was one of my favorite '90s films. I should have said that.
Same.
But there's Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. One of my probably top 10. Also, The Dark Knight. Another one of my top 10. Love those two. Quite a lot. Anyone else?
Monsters Inc. and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, was really good.
Yeah.
I didn't really like any of the sequels though.
Oh, really?
So
I think
any-
Dead Man's Chest is pretty good.
that
That's just me,
was
though.
fine.
That's just me.
That was pretty good. It's just 3 and everything after. No.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
The latest one, number
Stop.
4.
Yeah.
I just think they should stop trying.
Yeah.
Let's keep it on the
Definitely.
positive.
Like I said
Anybody
earlier,
else?
they're mainly just doing it for money and
Yeah.
merchandise. at this
Anybody
point.
else got any?
I just pretty much I agree with all of these people.
Yeah.
All you guys. It's too hard to pick a favorite with all these
It
Disney
is.
animated
Yeah,
films.
I was really just forced to.
So any 2010s?
The entire MCU.
Okay.
Marvel. really
Iron
took
Man
off.
2.
I'm a big Marvel geek.
The Avengers was good. I love that.
Yeah, that was
Avengers
Uh,
is
good.
one
Yeah.
of the best.
They went pretty downhill from there, though, in my opinion.
Eh.
well, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Captain
Guardians
America
of the
Civil
Civil
War.
War.
Civil
Yeah,
War
Civil
and Winter
War.
Soldier.
Yeah, I'm saying with like this kind of superhero movies like that.
Oh, just like the
Yeah.
only ones,
Alright,
except for
so-
Doctor
Yeah.
Strange.
So I loved Toy Story 3.
Yes.
I loved
Yes.
10
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Cloverfield Lane. I
Yeah.
loved
Oh, nice.
Captain Phillips. I loved Boyhood. My favorite would have to be Interstellar.
Wow.
For me,
I actually haven't seen that.
I'm going Whiplash. Love that.
Oh,
I
Whiplash
want to
is
see
an
that.
amazing
Whiplash.
movie.
Everyone should see Whiplash.
Yes.
I can concur.
Yeah. I loved. Why am I forgetting? You guys move on. I'll
right.
The
Oh,
Force
wait,
Awakens.
wait.
The Force
yes.
Awakens.
Force Awakens
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I love that film.
Okay.
Oh yeah, as
I
you
know
said
some
before, you
people-
like the Planet of the
Yeah.
Apes.
Yeah. So that one was really, really good.
I had
Um,
2. Is it alright if I?
Oh yeah, that's fine. That was
All right.
kind of it.
I had 2. I have both Interstellar and The Martian.
Martian
haven't seen The
was
Martian.
great.
I've
One of the
seen
best
that movie
films of
too many
2015.
times.
Yeah, I like how it wasn't really. It wasn't all about space, and yet it was all
Yeah.
about space.
I read the book actually before I watched
Yeah.
the movie.
Oh,
It
really?
was a
Nice.
great.
I've been meaning to read the book, but
Yeah.
I haven't gotten
It's
around to it.
Actually, it was my dad's favorite adaptation of a book. I guess like he just thought like it represented the movie so well, so well, better than every other book. So I think there's one last topic we've got, and it is our favorite decade in film. Now, mine, I gotta say, it's easily, without a doubt, the 70s, and this is why. It had the perfect mix of classics and blockbuster hits. It had classics like Chinatown, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and so many more, but I don't know why I can't think of them. It was, as we were saying, it always makes me think, like, whenever you're talking about 70s movies, it's like, well, that one was great, and that one was great, too. It had the blockbuster movies, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Jaws, and Star Wars. It had amazing comedies, amazing horror movies. It had the perfect mix of everything. And I think the 80s, that's when you started to get into that cheesier territory. And I think the 70s managed to have those widespread appeal hits, but they weren't cheesy, in my opinion.
Okay.
For me, I would have to go with 90s, just because of the nostalgic factor, and also some of my favorite directors have released movies in that decade. And some movies are like, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction with Quentin Tarantino, and then with like Clerks, there's Chasing Amy. I mean, with Kevin Smith, there's Chasing Amy, Clerks, And if I had to choose one year, 1994, because it has Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, and Clerks.
All right.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, I'll go. So I'm going to go right smack dab in the middle of those two and go with the 1980s. Because not only are the movies fantastic, and yes, they are a little cheesy, but in a good way, I'd say. But
Not all of them, just
all
some.
of them, of course. But they just kind of set the standard, because the middle-aged generation of today,
The parent generation.
everything they talk about, all the movies, all the classics, most of them are mainly from the 80s, because we saw the beginning of Indiana Jones, we saw the middle of Empire Strikes Back. We also had Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Gremlins, E.T., The Shining, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Aliens, The Terminator, Empire,
much.
Star Wars number 6.
Also, Terminator 2, fantastic 90 movie. Anyway,
James
go on.
Cameron directed it. Fantastic. Princess
Dane?
Bride as well.
For you.
All right, mine. I know this might be cheating a little bit. It is the 2000 because of 9 Lives with Kevin Spacey. No, I'm only kidding.
Well,
No,
Not to undermine
because
Kevin
you'd be
Spacey
kicked
at
out
all.
of the podcast.
Yeah.
Not to undermine Kevin Spacey at all.
no, I might be cheating a little bit because it's 2 decades in conjunction, the 70s and the 80s. Now
That's fair.
I have good reason for this. It's
70s and early 80s for me.
Yeah, I think particularly early 80s and 70s because you find a really good balance between serious, like you said, and cheesy, and you have huge blockbuster hits in both decades, which I think, make the 70s and 80s unparalleled by any other decade or any other combination of decades as far as movies go.
And then for Logan?
I honestly can't choose between the 80s or anything after because those decades are what I grew up on, and each of those decades has
Wow, you're
a
pretty
movie
old.
that's important to me. No, like my parents.
No,
raised me.
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that was our podcast. That was our longest one yet. I think
Thank
we
you
spent
so
much
much.
time.
1
New
hour.
record.
Talked about pretty much like
high score.
we pretty much went over literally our palette for movies to choose from was literally everything except for 30s movies, and we still got into those. So yeah, I think it was a great episode. We're gonna wrap it up. Just anything people would like to plug?
Well, I'm not necessarily to plug anything, but I just want to say I had a blast, and I hope that all of you guys also had a blast.
Yep.
I hope that